So you're looking for a spear build from Necromancer in PvP? Don't look further. Today I want to explain you how spear is played with Power Harbinger. I'm Surma, and let's jump right in. You're playing Harbinger, and therefore you want some toughness because you're a melee build with spear, and it's nice to survive a little bit of burst, more easily at least. And therefore you want power and precision as major, and toughness and ferocity as the minor stat. For rune choice you want links. It's nice, it gives you power. The condition damage is not that important, but you're out for the movement speed increase, and because you're melee build you want to be, let's say, somewhat mobile so that you can more easily stick to the target and stay in range of your attacks. For relic you want Relic of Rivers. It's really good. It's just such a nice sustain that you get from not only the region but also the alacrity, because every time at the end of a dodge roll in combat you get alacrity, which will increase the recovery rate of your skills, and therefore all your defensive but also the offensive skills come off cooldown more often, so it's a really good one. Of course, like I said, you want to run spear, but in the offhand you want to run sword. On both weapon steps you want cleansing and energy just for the defense, because you have quite a lot of damage, and you want to have some defense and condition cleansing. So now to the traits. You run curses, blood magic and harbinger. This time we start with Harbinger just so that you understand what the build does. Because Harbinger is quite special. Harbinger does not have a death shroud, so to say, that protects it from damage. It's just a shroud that you go into. It's some transformation. You get new skills, but you lose any damage you get from your normal health pool. And also, if you go in, you will continuously get decreases to your maximum health via the blight stacks. The blight stacks are important because they, of course, are negative because they decrease your maximum health, but they also heal you for every stack you have, which is really strong because the healing is quite nice. So if you can balance it out, it will give you quite a lot of healing even though you lose maximum health. So you can, let's say, juggle it around a bit. But a lot of skills in Harbinger also take advantage of having blight and increase in damage if you have blight. Or let's say not only damage but also in value. So be aware of that. And because you can't take damage in Shroud, you can't take life force damage, just normal damage. Your life force is only kept by the draining of it. Every second's 5%, so you can stay quite a long time in Shroud. So your elixir skills give you protection, a really strong trait just to increase your protection uptime. You have 3 elixirs, we get to that later, but it's quite a nice amount of protection you get from this trait. Then you have increased vitality, really nice, and you heal for each stack of blight you have, 15. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you can get some quite high healing out over the whole match from this, so it's quite nice. Then a really strong trait, you get stability when you enter Harbinger Shroud. That's a really good one. And you get Implacable Foe for 2 seconds, which is your, let's say, Necromancer and your pain, because it decreases the damage you get by 50%. So for the time you have the stability, you get some decreased damage as well. Really strong. And then you also get ferocity based on your percentage of vitality, so you have even more damage. So this trait is really good for power build. And then you get some life force when you enter Harbinger Shroud, which is nice because, like I said, you don't lose life force from that in damage. Therefore, the life force is, let's say, you can enter Harbinger Shroud even at 0 life force because of this trait, and you can dash out some skills because it's not hindered by the amount you can take with this of damage. And then the last trait, really strong. It's always the best option in PvP. You pulse quickness and fury around you. Every 3 seconds you are in Harbinger Shrouds. It's not only for you but also for your allies, so you're a really strong team fighter with this build just because of that trait. Okay, that's it so far for Harbinger. Then in curses, even though you are power build, Curses is really strong because this trait doesn't do anything for a power build, but you get some ferocity, precision increase, and also you get Fury when you enter Shroud, which is really strong, much more damage, and it's a quite high uptime just alone from this trait. And then you get more crit chance for each condition you have on your foe. You apply quite a bit of conditions, at least in Shroud and stuff. So even though they don't do damage, you get some more crit chance for it. And then you have your first attack after entering Shroud transfers conditions. So it's a condition cleanse. Be aware of that so that you use some skills that land, and then use some more heavy hitting skills, for example, that are not always hitting, and therefore you can easily cleanse conditions and even transfer them to your target. And then you have your Path of Corruption, really strong. The 2 skill will convert 2 wounds into conditions from foes. And your 2 skill is like a volley, and all of those apply this. So it's really strong. And then always taking on Necromancer if you play Curses and not Scepter, you get weakness application when you crit. It's really good on a power build because you crit a lot. Every 10 seconds you can apply weakness, really strong. Because weakness is a really strong condition that cripples your enemy quite hard. So the endurance region is decreased, they can't dodge that often, and their power damage is heavily decreased. But also if you enter Shroud, you apply some weakness as well. Really good. So now to Blood. Blood is your sustain trait line, and that makes the build viable, so to say, because you have quite a lot of burst, yes, but if you can't sustain it because you're melee build, it's not a good choice. So when you dodge, you get some regeneration from your mark that you will leave in the ground, really nice. Then you cast Lesser Signet of Vampirism when you inflict bleeding on foe of at least 3 stacks. That's really strong because it will give you some healing and apply also some damage, more damage. So it's not only for you, but it's also for allies, and it's quite nice healing actually. So every 16 seconds, not that bad. Then you siphon health when you hit a foe. It's really good. It's quite a lot of healing over time. So don't underestimate this. And then really strong, you get some healing power. Not that important, but you also prevent allies from losing health near you, which can lead to really clutch stresses if you used it correctly. So that's really good. And then you have the Vampiric Presence trait, which will, in conjunction with this, heal you quite a lot, you know, because it's siphoning health for you and your allies every time they hit you and hit the enemies with this when you're in range. So it's really strong. 600 range and you siphon health, and it's quite a lot of damage as well. So it's seems like a lot, but if you, let's say, count it up over the whole match, it's actually quite a lot of damage and healing that you get from this trait. And then this trait is really good on Harbinger. Let me explain it why. So Blood Bank gives you health proportionate to amount of... let me rephrase that. Gaining health grants a proportionate amount of barrier. This means that if you get healed, in any case, you get 5% of the healing you get as barrier, which is good by itself. So it's 5% more healing, so to say, and it's even better because it's barrier, not healing. But also, this is increased when you are at full health. Now you would like to say, why would I heal when I am at full health? That's true, but you are Harbinger, and therefore you decrease your maximum health quite a lot. And you can easily decrease your maximum health to a point where you are at maximum health even though you had not have maximum health before. So you get barrier then at 100% conversion rate, even though you are not technically at your max health that you were previously. So that's really strong, because in conjunction with your skills, which we get to now, you get in combat is this only, but if you use it in combat, you get a huge amount of barrier from your healing skill. So let me explain the skills. You will want to run the healing skill of Harbinger, the Elixir, because it's a really strong heal and gives you some regen as well. All your Elixir skills give you protection, like I said, but it also have some impact effects. Like this one gives you some poison on damage on your target. Then of course in PvP you will always want to Spectral Run on Necromancers. It's a stun break, gives you swiftness and removes conditions for the next 5 seconds. 5 ticks for the next 10 seconds. And they also give you some life force from that. And you can also activate it again to teleport back to the starting location. Really overloaded skill. Then you have your second stun break, the worm. You have to place it first, but if you place it on a location where it can't be killed, for example your spawn or something, you can then teleport in this direction. It's you have to be aware that, let's say, the teleport is always in the direction of the worm if there is nothing in between. So if you would be stuck in a stone or something, it's not doing that, and you cast to the maximum range that you could travel to. And then you have some condition remove on this skill, 5 conditions removed, and it also converts a boon into condition if you hit an enemy with it. Really nice. So that's your condition option, condition remove option. And then you have your Elixir of Ambition, Copium Elixir. It gives you all the boons for 3 seconds and applies some heavy condition pressure on the enemies, even though you don't do a lot of condition damage, with 25 might and, let's say, the general high amount of conditions you apply here that can be quite nasty if you land it. So this skill is really strong. Be aware that if you use that, you should go all in and try to damage as much as you can in the next 3 seconds, because you want to make use out of the boons that you get. So your spear skills are quite nice. So it's just melee auto attack, but you also have the ability to get soul shards. Soul shards stack up to give you increased damage when you use the 2 skill, and also increase the siphon that you get from them. So the 2 skill is your bread and butter of this, because it's a flurry of attacks, and that will also increase for every soul shard you have. And it will consume them, so that you will lose them after that. But it will also heal you heavily if you have enough. And then your 3 skill is a daze. If you hit it, will also let's say increase in duration, and if you have enough soul shards, it will also immobilize the target. So the 4th skill is like your gap closing skill. If you land this, it's a thrown spear. If you land this in a target, you can teleport to it, and it will set the cooldown of your 2 skills. So your combo is quite nice. So you can land your heavy damage skill after you teleport in. Be aware that this teleport is not that long. It does not stay that long on the target, but it's unblockable, so you can throw it through some projectile reflects. And then you have your 5 skill, which is quite nice. It deals damage, gives you some might, but it also really nice for removing boons, and it's a new effect because it will also give some negation of boons to enemies. So if they are in your field, you take the next 3 boons they will get are just negated. So that's the kit of the spear. And one more thing is that if you leave Shroud, you will instantly reset your isolate skill, which is really good. So you can make a nice combo, and if you come out of Shroud, easily follow up with your 4th skill, even if it was on cooldown before. And your sword skill, the sword auto attack is just a ranged auto attack. And your sword 2 to 5 have some special options because they have flip skills after they landed, which will cost some health of you, but will also having another effect as well. This is especially useful because you're a Harbinger, so you want to juggle your health all the time. So losing health and let's say gaining it back again can be quite nice because it will give you some barrier as well, like I said before. So this is a nice synergy there. The 2 is just some damage and life force. The 3 is your, let's say, really heavy movement skill. And you can activate again to do the same again. And it will heal you and remove a boon into condition from the enemy. So it's quite a nice set. So the sword gives you some movement speed and also some nice corruption and healing. 4th skill is just another damaging skill, which will also apply vulnerability and some chill if you activate it again. Quite nice. And the 5th skill is your fear skill. It's actually the only fear you have in this kit, if you don't corrupt anything, any stability. But it's a nice ranged fear. It's a projectile, but if it hits, it fears, and you can activate it again to do some more damage and also some weakness and gain some might. So that's it for the weapon skills. In Harbinger Shroud, the auto attack is just a ranged auto attack. The 2 is, like I said, this volley, which will corrupt conditions, but deal also quite a lot of damage. The 3 skill is some dash, which will also do some heavy damage with hits. And the 4 skill is your hardest hitting skill, because if you have enough blight, it will double in damage, and it's some leap to the target and also some evade, which will also daze. If you then use your 5 skill, when you are on your target, it will instantly, after you casted it, float the enemies, which is quite nice, especially if you are in a teamfight scenario, because if you can put that off and a lot of enemies are hit by that, it can be the end, especially if you land your Elixir of Addition after that and do some heavy damage to them. So that's it for the skills. Now I want to show you the important combos. Of course, if you lose your Elixir of Ambition, you want to do as much damage as you can. Therefore, for example, the 2 skills is important. But also in Harbinger Shroud, you can dash out some heavy damage. Be aware that a lot of skills, the 1 and the 2, for example, in Harbinger Shroud, and also your sword skills, a lot of them are projectiles, and therefore you can be really heavily shut down from reflects or projectile denials. So be aware if they are out, you have to, let's say, be careful and don't hit yourself with those skills. And now to the blood bank interaction. So if I now go into combat and I have gained some health from skills, then I will gain some barrier. And if I now use my healing skill in combat, I will lose some maximum health, but I will get almost 8k barrier, which is crazy because I lost 3k health, but I will get 5k barrier. So you can use this skill to not only increase your blight, to increase your damage for some skills after that, but it also gives you some heavy barrier because it will heal you for 7k, but it gives you even more barrier. So if you are damaged to some extent, you can get some quite heavy barrier and healing as well. So a lot of skills function like this in this kit. So if you do damage to yourself, you get also some barrier again. And if you now lose some health, like you see here, maximum health from the blight, you will get some barrier because of the healing. So you have a lot of synergies in this build, and you get so many defensive health healing procs all the time from blight, from your sword skills, or even from your regen and your healing skills, that you get a lot of barrier uptime. And therefore this build has actually quite a lot of sustain, because you get so much barrier and so much healing passively, and therefore it's really important that you run some toughness, I feel like, because if you don't, you can get one shot, and that's what you don't want, because if you don't get one shot, you can heal up quite easily. That's why this build is quite fun to play at the moment. It's quite mobile. It's a power build for Necromancer that is mobile, so really, really nice to play. And be also where you can do some heavy jukes, or even some really nice port stomps, for example. Let me say this player is going down now, and I want to stomp them. I have my flash worm up, and then I can activate my spectral walk here, and then cast the stomp, port to my flash worm, so that the player can't interrupt me. And then I port back to the starting location with my spectral walk, and I will get the stomp too. Of course, be aware that if you use that, all your stun breaks are gone. So it's a really last resort option, and it's a, let's say, a fancy way of stomping. But if you really want to get the stomp through and don't want to get damaged while you're doing or interrupted, it's probably a really strong choice to know that you can do that. Of course, you get some stability if you go in Shroud as well, and you can go in Shroud at any time if it's off cooldown, and therefore you get some stability by doing that. But also you get some let's say, damage reduction, and it doesn't interrupt any casts you do. So you can go into Shroud while you stomp and you get stability by doing that. So that's it so far. If you have any question about this build, please let me know in the comments. If you want to see more builds like this, don't forget to subscribe. If you liked it, please leave a like. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.